Today we have with us Professor Amit Kanchanbaras. He is a management graduate, seasoned banker turned academician, having a combined experience of 30 years of industry and academy exposure, predominantly in banking, finance, investments, and fintech. He worked in global marquee firms like JP Morgan, Northern Trust, Birla Sun Life Insurance, and Citigroup. Commenced his career with Ashok Leland Finance Limited and has been associated with ISBR in various roles since 2016. He has been head of the department, area chair placements, and currently is head partnerships and collaboration. Welcome, students. As part of Career 360 tried to bring forward good management schools to the limelight, we take a look at ISBR Bangalore. My first question is ISBR was established in 1990. Can you describe the journey so far with some of the insights into the achievements that have been achieved by the institute?
Sure. Thank you so much, madam, and good evening to you, and thanks for having me here. So 30 years back when ISBR Institutes all started, it was the focus of, how we can create a platform for students in terms of giving them enriched management education so that they're able to create a difference in the society in terms of getting their placements and not something which is already happening in the run. So 30 years back when we started, it was a firm which was mostly into the degree program where we had associated with a lot of universities. Mysore universities, etc., was one of them. Bangalore University was there, and then we reoriented ourselves to focus on something which is specific to AICT after government allowed that to happen. So that's where our focus became that we are autonomous and we wanted to align with what's happening in the industry. The CEO, the founder then, Dr. Manish Kothari, had always a vision to have an experience for the students which will give them real time and real learning, which they learn what's happening today and not something which has happened in the past. So that was always the focus and vision of us 30 years back when we all started, that this is the differentiator we want to create. There are these schools who are doing it then, there are who are doing it now. But what ISBR has transformed itself from 30 years from then to now has been in the space of the education that we provide, the learning that we provide. It's more about the experience that you get. Not when I say experience, it's a 360-degree experience. And that is where we have moved from the pure pedagogy of PPT, theoretical and academic learning to something which is experiential and made it more relevant and differentiating for the aspiring talent who would like to get into the field of management.
If you had to pick 3 unique features of ISBR that makes it stand apart from others, what would your pick be?
So it is 3 unique features are definitely going to be the selection process, the way we handpick students. We basically look at not just the theoretical aspect of it, we look at the individual, whether the individual is capable. Can I create a difference for this individual in the next 2 years? The industry connect second, because we are in Electronic City. We are amongst the 400 to 500 industry partners, the who's who of ITs over here. So we connect with them to see at every point of time how that industry linkage can be given to their curriculum learning, be it life projects, internships, mentoring, pre-mentoring, then industry counseling, industry advisory boards. So this is completely the ecosystem which industry is working very closely with ISBR. Number 3 is in terms of the way we ready the talent right from the time a talent is hired at ISBR and gets admitted. Even before he or she joins, is getting immersed and I would say mentored and guided by an expert right from day one. He or she has not even joined ISBR or onboarded, but they are there. So they start getting into the immersion part of it in terms of what management is. So that's the best part of it in terms of how student mentally gets aligned, followed up with a lot of sessions in terms of training, upskilling, unlearning, relearning, so that there's a continuous learning which is happening, and it helps in creating a difference for the individual. So we don't look at I have to do this when the placement starts. This is started from the day one. Today, every student who joins ISBR is part of this ecosystem from day one. Intense training is given, intense mentoring is done, one-on-one coaching is done, one-on-one mentoring is done. And it is not just one session or 2 sessions, as many as can be done as sought by the student, and we don't say no to it. And we have experts who are not just the domain experts, but practitioners. There's a difference between the two. Domains, I can be getting a lot of finance marketing domain, but a practitioner would be a specific guy for a financial modeling, a specific guy for a digital marketing, a specific guy for the meta marketing. So giving you examples how we work differently with industry, so deep rooted connected. We continuously make sure that our connect with industry improves year on year by having a lot of intervention sessions like conclaves, panel discussions, and we make students to host them. It's not us. We are the guiding force. Empowerment to students is one more unique feature which we believe makes a difference to the student right from day one. So he or she is talking to the industry day one as a fresher or as a person who has experience regardless. And then of course the certification course is value added, which is there, but again handpicked. We question the faculty or the facilitator, why you want to give this, why do you think this will be important, why do you want to teach this, how is it going to create a value for the student. It's not just for that I'm teaching this subject. So I think these are some of the features where a lot of research goes behind, and we inculcate that environment of research in the student, because in the industry that's what they're supposed to do regardless of the job they get into.
My next question would be about the specializations. Now, what are the specializations that are offered? One more thing is, like, some schools offer specializations and students have to choose it right at the start, and some allow them some time before they choose that. So how does it how is it followed at ISBR, and what should students look for when they are trying to choose a specialization? Because that is a something that I feel that they should have a passion for. It's not like following something popular. So if you could give some insights on that.
Absolutely. I think it's a very pertinent question. And what we do is over here is, when I talk about specializations, I'll talk about what we offer. As you rightly, the question more important is how, what is the approach towards it. So when I talk about the specializations, the domain, what we are doing is that we are looking at two parts. One is the regular specializations of major, minor, and then there was super specialization, which the student can take right from day one and will study only that for the next 2 years. Of course, we ensure that at the time of admissions and even after they are onboarded, that they're really sure about that this is what they want to do for the next 2 years, because it's not like a change which can happen, which you normally see in the UG part of it. So because you're deciding a career, not a specialization. So coming to the point is that when you look at the how part, we start having, we do a lot of orientations right from the beginning of the start of the semester, during the semester, and at the cusp of the end of the first semester, so that the student is knowing a little bit about the beginning, get familiarized during, because he or she started to read and learn some of those facets of specialization, because we have that in our first semester of basics of whether it's accounting or financial management or marketing or operations or business analytics or whatever. So they get that flavor and they know, is there a cup of tea? So that's an intervening point. Then when it comes to the point of taking a career and deciding what they need to do, that's where we have another round of orientation to show them the exact perspective about the career objectives, what they can get into the industry, how that will help, and what they need to be better off when they go for this specialization. And this year, what we have started is in the second semester, which is Jan 2025, the batch who join in 24-26, they are going to be taught one of the subjects of the specialization in second semester. And we are doing it very, very mindful of the fact that the student at least has one more opportunity to really taste that part, which is a part of the overall, thread of that particular domain. So for example, we are starting with something on the derivative side in finance, starting something specific in marketing side, likewise in analytics, likewise in healthcare and not healthcare, operations and HR. So one subject has been taken, and students will now learn that. They understood perhaps the fundamental. Now they take up something which is slightly more specific and niche. That will give them a good understanding whether this is something they would like to pursue. And then we allow them to decide that this is going to be, if you are convinced, this will become your specialization when you come for your third semester in the second year. And if you think it is not, you still have time to change. And that will give you the perspective in terms of, what you need to do. So the second thing is that when they go for this decision of specialization, because they have to go for the summer internships, which starts in the month of May. So before that, they're very clear. And we try to make sure they get the internships in that domain. So they have studied some basics, a little bit more specific, and now they're doing internship in that domain. They feel that, yes, this is something I can do. it becomes easy for them then to decide the actual domain when they come back in the second year and pursue their full-time, complete the course and go for their placements in that domain. So it's a journey that we are trying to take them through various interventions and helps them to ease out the specialization they do. A part. The B part is the mentoring side of it, where the mentors help a lot in terms of the helping the student to decide, because there is confusion, and rightfully so, because there is too many things to be pick and choosy about, major, minor combination, and all. So it all boils down to the individual's, perspective, personality, and talking to them, conversing with them, not going with, as you rightly said, follow the approach. If he is doing it, I will also do it. Or there is more money in this, so I will do this. It's not about that. So it's about making them realize what their strengths are and then helping them to align their strengths with their performance in academics, what they've done, and see that it's a merit for them to take it up. Now, we don't, again, it's a very consultative discussion. It's not a prescriptive discussion where you're prescribing them that this is the formula, this is what you have to do. No, it's very prescriptive. So this is definitely the second thing that helps them. Third thing, which we have started from last year, is we have introduced a scientific way of assessing what kind of specialization the student should opt for. It's a very detailed, comprehensive assessment, which is cognitive, intuitive, has got aptitude, has got a little bit of domain, and has got an overall, behavioral aspects of it, and of course the test which is done on their, overall personality. And that's a scientific database test which tells them about this, like a SWOT, the best part, the threats and the opportunities and the weaknesses. That tells the student, and it is done independently on a tech platform, which is somewhat AI driven, somewhat it is tech driven in terms of the whole assessment. The complete report card is given to the students, and then they see where they stand. It also recommends, based on their strengths, what kind of career and what kind of domain specialization they should look for. So it will not say you should take, but this is what you can look for. That becomes very, very, I would say, helpful, because not coming from any individual or someone. It is coming from the technology and unbiased system who is giving you that on the basis of what you have answered in that particular test. So it's almost a 3 to 6 hours comprehensive test. And that is what we are planning to do with this batch in January, who's 24-26. And one more test will happen when they come back from their internship, which will show us the delta of points that they have not worked upon, where they've improved, so that they get the confidence of, knowing exact gaps where they need to be filled up. So these are certain things which helps in multiple ways: skilling, focus training, right domain specialization suggested by the system. And then, of course, we have mentoring and the human intervention, which always is there to guide them and give them the right path. So I think it's a very robust and a very deep-rooted approach, which is giving the student the overall perspective that, yeah, this is what I would like to do. And they're confident about it, not questioning themselves. That questioning themselves means there has been an element of doubt, and that element has to be reduced. It cannot become zero, but it cannot also stay very wide open throughout the second year.
I think that's a very good process, actually, because the specialization or whatever they're going to do is going to help them build a career and last throughout their life. It's not just like your graduation. So my next question is, can you just describe a bit about the admission process? How is the selection facilitated? What factors do you look for when you select a student into the school?
Sure. So again, I was talking about when you talked about 3 unique features, and I spoke about admissions is one of them, because when I look at admissions over here, it's again a very comprehensive selection procedure, which is done very carefully. So A is a criteria cutoff, which is decided by the admissions team in terms of what they should look at from the national level admission tests that students take, be it CAT, MAT, ZAT, NMAT, SNAP, multitude, XMAT, all of them. So we look at that cutoff, which is decided by the team, and thereafter we have our own test, which is called as IMAT, ISBR Management Aptitude Test, wherein they take that particular test and we see what the scores are. So for example, a student has got above the criteria which we set, he or she may be given a waiver for the IMAT test, which otherwise ISBR applicants have to take. So that is A aspect. The B aspect is going to be in terms of the no GD, we do a micro presentation. The micro presentation is in terms of a multitude of questions, things, and topics which are happening currently around the world. and it is across diverse. It's not focusing only on economic or political affairs. It's everything, anything under this thing. And that way, student decides what topic they have selected on the day of admission when the selection process is there. So this team, I am part of that team, which travels a lot to the selection centers to assess the students in terms of their potential. There we look at very carefully the presentation, which has to be done in 5 minutes. And we see in that the presentation skills, the communication skills, the confidence, and we get to know whether this presentation has been really a genuine effort, or has it been a effort which has just been perhaps copy pasted and the guy's just talking about it, which means the intent was not there. Less of the content, but the intent has not been there to even have that much effort spent on something you would like to talk about by doing a proper research and a proper practice. So there's a faculty, there's an industry expert, and there's the team member from admissions team who travel together. So the industry experts and the faculty are in the panel who are deciding and taking a decision. As I told you, the ultimate objective is to see, can I create a difference to this student if he or she invests in ISBI for 2 years? If I cannot do that difference, I will not hire the student. We don't take that student. Academics may be great, all right, but if I don't see that difference being created by us to them, we consider that to be a failure on our part if we hire that person. So we don't select the students over there. And then once you are done with this, we go with the PI round. But PI round is more to know about the student aspirations and other things than anything else, I would say. And with that, we conclude. So the performance in the test, performance in micro presentation, performance in the interview, overall decides in terms of what we should be offering. We do have scholarships also based on certain criteria, which is again decided based on their need, based on their background, based on what they've done. The performance and academics, of course, is considered. So all of that put together, we have a scholarship committee which decides whether we should be recommending the student for the admission scholarship or not. So that is something we decide. And just to give you some stats, if I have to select around 320 odd students, I'm looking at an application base of not less than 20 to 30,000, and I'm filtering from there. So that's an effort that the admissions team is doing day out, day in and day out in terms of various ways to get talent to us. So it's a very rigorous and a very clean process of selecting and taking people. And that's why in our batch, 28 states representative students are there. We being in Karnataka, we have around 5 to 6%. Largely they're coming from other parts of the country, which is North India, East India, the western side, the central side, the northeast side, and all of that. So it gives you the perspective about how diversified B in terms of the rigorous selection and in-depth selection that we are doing.
My next question is, how is the curriculum mounted as per industry requirements? Because this is very important. And how is the practical aspect and training facilitated within this?
Right. Well, I did talk about it. I just, once again, perhaps, bring about the same points in terms of the curriculum. As I said, it's drafted very carefully, keeping in mind what's happening. Now, when I'm drafting my curriculum for the second semester, what I did initially, there are certain changes we have brought, like intervention of a specialization subject. Second, the certification that we need to offer to the students. Introduction of some of the important certifications like, courses on, we are tying up with one of the institutions which will offer courses in the field of, I would say CIMA. We are trying with those bodies who are certified trainers only for the finance students. We have started something called as a career track. A career track is very specific again to a career that a student wants to go. Again, it's a practice. It's not the domain. It's not finance. It's the domain. It's a practice. So consulting, for example, we're starting now in January. So there's a pre-orientation which has happened. Test has happened. We have filtered the student from a base of 360 to only 65 students who will go for the consulting track because they qualified for this particular course. These 65 handpicked students will go through 2 boot camps. One is management consulting, the other is going to be a domain consulting, which would be IT or financial. But what this means, it is that this is something which is again aligned to the career opportunities which is out there. A management student always has the urge to look up to these kind of opportunities. So we make them ready from the beginning. Okay, this is what you'll go through. These career track courses are curated only by industry experts. It is not going to be curated by anyone from the academia, because they are the experts, they are practitioners. The practitioners will create the curriculum, practitioners will deliver, practitioners will assess, and practitioners will certify. because it's an industry. So if the industry is doing it, they very well know that if they have a spark of potential talent in this group, it is very easy for them to pick it up in case they have a need. It does. They don't have to get into the you know the reinventing of wheel every time, as and when they have the burnouts. So we don't. So this is something we've started from this year. Like that, there will be multiple career tracks in the space of quality tools like Six Sigma, Lean, Green Belt. Again, focused than offering to all, because we have done that when we offered to all. It did not come out well because it was a very mixed bag of results, and the effective outcome was not what it should have been. So here we have said, let's be mindful of it. I'll give you an example of when I joined ISBR. I joined as an investment banking trainer, coming from the background of investment banks and the banking industry. So I created the learning curriculum, the training curriculum. I selected the students. I gave them the training. Certification happened. So these career tracks will have certification, and only certified students will go for the opportunities in that domain. Because see, you have to create that premium, and that is where the industry will also benefit. Yeah, so it's you're earning it and you're reaping the rewards. So I think that aspect itself is creating a big change and the right direction in terms of what students will benefit. And while it is open for all in the beginning, but again you have to earn bit by bit, clear the assessment, clear the certification, be rigorous, and then the opportunity is there. So that student has already become ready because he has gone through the entire ecosystem of the rigor that was required. So when I did this, always that's how we were able to get good students placed with some of the marquee firms in the investment banking industry, global banks, etc. So I think it's a tried and tested practice that we have done, and now we have made it much more structured, with much more scale and a proper, I would say, steps followed, process followed over there. And this is something we have started this year. Apart from that, the training, etc., which is going on, is something which, as I told you, start from the beginning. So 2025, when they get onboarded, they're given the offer letters and they accept it, there is going to be a mentor aligned by the admissions team with that student, and that goes for 6 months, purely between the mentor and the mentee. If I'm the mentor and if one of the students is the mentee, it's between me and him or her. We'll decide what to talk, when to talk, and it'll be amicably decided during the timelines. So, because ultimately the student also has to show the interest and connect with the mentor. Okay, I want to talk about this. I want to talk. And students of some of them have really benefited, who really used to come after us in terms of, I want this to be spoken about. Let's have a session. Let's have a session. And the mentors over here are again the niche, which already who are industry partners of ISBR. Some of them may be or maybe not be the recruiters, but could be potential recruiters in the future. So they are made the mentors because they will identify the spark then and there. And they are mentoring the students for 6 months. The students still can continue to be, associated with them through LinkedIn, through other media, so that the continuous learning, the continuous guidance happens. It doesn't stop there. Plus, you then have also other aspects of, the faculty mentoring, the alumni mentoring. So alumni is something which we are we work very deeply to, because we consider them another extended arm of industry, but part of the ISBR family. So they have seen the inside of ISBR, they know what's happening in the industry. So that becomes again one seamless integration in terms of the learning that they get and they provide to their fellow mates. In fact, many of these times it so happens that the alumni comes or the student comes and says, I've spoken to this alumni, this is what they can do, this is what they can provide. So in the whole social system is such well integrated that you don't have to create everything from the beginning. So it's well immersed, and it looks like, the way it comes out is that there's a running process, running engine in terms of the industry academia connect all across the year, and it just doesn't stop. It only gets deeper and deeper. I think that's what is making the difference in terms of what we are doing and what we will be doing in the future as well on these similar lines.
So, which brings me to a doubt. We had discussed MBA has a specific curriculum and you have been part of the industry as well as the academy. So, what do you think would the challenges be for all these graduates? How can they all, get to value add while they are going in, apart from whatever the alma mater is teaching? Because some things have to come from you. So, a little direction in that sense.
Exactly. So, coming from the industry, that is an advantage, and I would say to see what are the areas that we need to really plug in. And that's what we have been doing, to see those areas which are academic, but more on the practice side of it. So when I was with the industry, we used to hire a lot of management graduates from Symbiosis, from Wellinkers, from Narsimonji, and some IITs also we have hired. When we had for our banks, we were doing a lot of technology hiring. The only thing we used to think was very academic oriented, all of that was there. But the missing part was the awareness part. If you are a finance student, how much are you aware about financial markets? If you're marketing students, how much do you know about brands? How much do you know about the 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 product positioning part of it? What new products are coming up? Your competitors. What is your competitor? What is your market size? What is your market share? So it was very academic. Okay, this is to do with numbers. It is finance. Oh, this is to do with advertising. This is marketing. So that kind of parameterization had to be cut across. So which had to seep in a lot of practices, a lot of interventions by industry to make it very neutral to a domain. For example, sales. Very apprehensions are there. Who are going to go for management or who are in the management don't want to do sales. Why? Because it looks like a door-to-door job. I mean, if you don't do sales, the perspective is that how will revenue come? If you can't get revenue, why are you there? Why should the organization hire you? So this aspect has to be seen again. And then when you're coming for a management interview, aren't you selling yourself? So you have to have those kind of, A is the creating a curriculum, but B is about the transformation of mindset, which happens through rigorous discussions and all of that. So creating that structure, be it a mentoring platform, be it a counseling platform, be it an industry interaction, a corporate interaction. So make sure that we get those people on board who really don't sugarcoat and talk. I mean, they're talking something which is really meaningful and to the horse's mouth, where students are able to connect. And when they connect, they're able to resonate and they're able to process and then demonstrate. So all these things that we do, because these are the basic things. The freshers leave in 3 months, 6 months, can't take stress, can't take a lot of, I would say multitasking is missing. So these are those skill sets which cannot get into the student's mindset when they have just joined. It has to be there as an ecosystem for long. So long hours in the college, giving them different platforms to be part of committee members, clubs, driving events, participating in workshops, summits, traveling. That is exactly what you will be doing when you hit an industry. But there your manager is not going to tell you that you have to do it this way. But here you have a faculty expert who is taking you by the hand and giving you that exposure and giving you direction that this is what you should be really expert with. There will be challenges. So again, not to be afraid and run away. Take that risk and go ahead. Nobody again teaches you how to take that risk when you go for a career. So these aspects are something which we have sort of woven around. Domain subjects are all something which are added above, which we know what's happening. So the domain faculties look at it. But this perspective is very important because transformation of mindset is the key. And it cannot happen that what you have done in your UG for, say, whatever number of years to get transformed in 2 years. So I think that element of transformation starts with that. And what we need to include in that keeps changing. For example, we do a lot of foundation courses, bridge courses. It's people coming from different background, but they're good students who can make it good in that domain which they do not have the background. So get them into that part where they get the confidence that yes, these are small blocks I have to start getting involved into it, and then build up the journey for them. Second thing is about getting into practical sessions and working on technology, be it Excel, be it Power BI, be it Tableau. Right now, because now it's not that it is a nice to have, it is a given. I mean, if you say I know Microsoft, I mean, it's like saying I know ABC. But do you know beyond that? If you don't, sorry, you're knocking the wrong door. So again, that perspective is what we create in our learning and learning and skilling part of it. So our focus is not just to be academically qualified. It's also to make sure that you are learned and you have experienced all these things in the right manner through these ingredients. That's the key. Because that will set you apart. And there are students who do that. So it's a clear difference. The student gets a decent start when it comes to his career. Be it the role, the package, the brand. And the industry has confidence in us because they say, we are getting value proposition. Why? Not because we are giving them, but they're also helping us. They are part of this whole journey. We are getting them on board. So involve the industry more intensively than just asking them to come for internships and placements. I mean, today, guest talks, expert talks are run of the mill, but go beyond that. And that's what we do. We have a lot of, 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 we have a Don't just go there as a talk, because that's going to be mundane. It's another lecture happening. The student should get interacted. So activity-based sessions, make it something, if it can be gamified, bring that experience, because that will involve them in that activity. So the even a mundane session for a full day becomes so active that you don't realize how students have learned and immersed into it. And that's what we have been doing. We have done this year approximately 150 such sessions, of which some of them have been very good. And the feedback has been, we want more. So now, obviously, when my stakeholders saying I want more, I don't have to push it. I just have to get the same person and get them to maybe do a more elongated exercise or activity-based session for them. So I think these are some of the things we have to do it, understanding what the pulse of the student is, because every year it changes, because they have so many things they have in their mind. So I think we are, as an institution, as a leadership team and management, very much mindful of our stakeholders' expectations and aspirations. And we do a lot of background work in terms of what amends we need to make, so that they are well oriented, well understood in terms of what they're getting into, and it becomes easy for them. As I said, but the selection is such that I need to be sure that they will be able to do it. Otherwise, it becomes like a requirement of ISBR, but not benefiting the stakeholder. So that is where we don't want to get into.
Last question. What would, if you had to give a message to the aspirants or students, what would it be?
I'll make it very short. I think I said a lot of things, and I'll make it very short. Keep reading, keep researching, and keep practicing what you have learned across, even when you get a job, because it is going to keep hounding you back. It's not going to stop. So the research and your reading should not stop. When I say research and reading, it's not academic only. When you work for the marquee firms and your aspirations, like I want to go for Google or Yahoo or McKinsey's and all of those world, they also do the same thing. The partner in that is also doing the same thing, and understand the fundamental ingredients of that practice. Fundamentals of ingredients does not mean marketing or sales or digital or social media. What it takes for you to be part of the ecosystem, that the organization says, yes, I want to hire this kid. And that is where you will get all of that. So it's not a blue sky thinking or a blue ocean thinking. You're getting everything. How much can you leverage and apply? And keep talking, keep consulting, be interactive. There is no place for shyness. I'm so sorry. There's no place for introvertness. I'm so sorry. When you look at the highly competitive industry it's getting, regardless of sectors, regardless of domain, regardless of anything. Even as an entrepreneur, all the more reasons you have to be one. You can't sit in one corner and people will come to you, hey, you know what? I'm giving you an order. You have to give me so much amount. No. So you have to make your presence felt, and that can only be done if you have done all the basics correctly. I think that's the only mantra which is there, and it is successful because people who are doing it are successful. That's all I would say.
Thank you so much. That was very insightful and wonderful message. That's the end of the session.
Thank you so very much, madam. Thank you, and thank you for having me. Wish you all the best, students, and good luck. Thanks a lot.